KFI AM 640, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. This is Live and Unscripted, offering a newsmaker in Southern California a chance to speak their mind. To join the conversation, call 800-520-1534. That's 1-800-520-1KFI. Now, live from the studios of KFI, the Sheriff of Los Angeles County, Alex Villanueva.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's go to Kathy here.
I am so happy to talk with you. You got to make this a regular gig. My question is, how is Governor Newsom? You had kind of referenced about the Caltrans and also the Highway Patrol. Like maybe is he diverting funds or something? How is that contributing to homelessness?
Well, I'll tell you this in two ways. About a month and a half ago, I was driving down the 101 freeway southbound from Sunset. Now, on the west side of the embankment, it was littered in trash, literally from one exit almost to the next exit. It was like, I don't know, 50 yards of just trash. It looked like an open-air garbage dump. This is 10:30 in the morning, and there's a naked guy scrummaging through the trash. You know, workday, 10:30 in the morning, why is a naked man on the 101 freeway? And why does that all of a sudden is somehow acceptable and normal? Well, when I added Newsom to the architects of failures, because he's contributed to this state of affairs we have with homelessness now, and they've resulted in two things. One, they've enabled dependency, and they're normalizing deviancy. So we're lowering our quality of life, and we're not helping those that need the help. Those that truly have mental illnesses or severe drug addiction, they can't really take care of themselves. Yeah, they need help. But the way the current system is set up, no one is getting any help. And the community is devolving. The quality of life is getting worse and worse. Encampments are encroaching on everything. So the governor, he's the executive branch. Caltrans and the CHP are in the executive branch of government, and he leads the executive branch of the state government. So when you see the freeways covered with trash and with homeless encampments, that's the governor's responsibility. That is his report card. So you decide if he deserves another term in office or not. But the way I look at it, he owes us, because the problem is not getting any better. I wrote him a letter. In fact, I wrote a letter to the Board of Supervisors asking them to declare a local state of emergency. I got nothing back from them. Just a snide letter from county council that meant nothing. Then I wrote the same letter to this governor, said, hey, we need to declare a local state of emergency. We need to get FEMA on board. We need to start really treating this like the crisis that it is jeopardizing not just the lives, but the livelihood of every single LA County resident in some way. I got nothing from him. That letter was dated June 28th. June 28th. So that's a scary, a sad state of affairs, because right now, when the moratoriums on evictions are expiring throughout the United States, where do you think a lot of these people are going to go? They're going to go where the sun is shining, the weather is warm, and all the benefits are available. Yes, courtesy of our Governor Newsom, who invited everybody to share in the California dream. All right, so that is scary right there. But thank you for that call, Kathy. Let's go to Marla on line 10.
Having been homeless myself, I can tell you that these organizations that are helping people are not helping people. And I'd like to know what we can do to get rid of them and close them down, like LASA and CES. Those are two that I dealt with, and they did not help me at all. And they're simply aligning their pockets.
Well, Marla, God bless you for pulling yourself up and getting the help and getting back on your feet. That is a testament to your character. Those 501c and the organizations like the ones you mentioned, LAS and all that, unfortunately, those are the service providers that are at the feeding trough of all that county money. Measure H, you have Triple H money, both the county and the city. They're pouring almost $1 billion a year now into the homeless. And it is going right to where you're saying. They're going to service providers, the salary, employee benefits. In fact, there's one in particular Venice Family Clinic. Supervisors the directors making 6-figure salary, but they're going to spend someone. They're going to pay someone, $20 to go out there with a clipboard to hand out water bottles, and they'll call that outreach. And then I believe on some of these 501cs, 8% of their money goes to the actual cause. The rest of it is all consumed by salary and employee benefits and paying off your directors. And that is horrifically wasteful. And we're not going to get out of the situation if we keep digging ourselves into that hole. So, Marla, you are spot on. And that's why I refer to them collectively as a homeless industrial complex. So these are some of the terminology we need to start familiarizing ourselves with. We have the homeless industrial complex. We have the woke privilege, which is what's driving the narrative on this. There's people that think that we can build our way out of the homeless. You've heard that again and again. It is physically impossible to build our way out of a problem that gets bigger faster than we can build it. It's just not going to happen. It's going to make a lot of people wealthy for sure, and it's going to destroy a lot of communities, but it's not going to help the homeless, because for everyone we house, if they're replaced by 2, what kind of progress do we make? Not only that, every single person that appears here from another county, another state, is actually diminishing the capacity of LA County to serve the homeless. And that is a sad state of affairs. In fact, when I was in Venice in June, we came across Lucian, a young man, 22 years old from Tennessee. He smokes meth 24/7. He was homeless in Tennessee, got there from Maryland. He thought the winter was a little harsh. He said he was a drifter, and he enjoyed the nomadic lifestyle, and I'm quoting him. And there he was, sprawled on the sand in a chair on the Venice boardwalk saying, "Isn't life great?" And all he has to do is wait there, and people will throw fresh clothes at him, 3 meals a day. And that is not progress. That is not acceptable. However, Councilman Bonin or Mayor Garcetti thought that was somehow okay. They're out of their minds. It's not. It's destroying the community, and we need to help everyone. All right. So let's go now to Matt on line 3.
Hello?
Go ahead, Matt.
Hello? Hey, Sheriff. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you everything for what you and your department do. I really appreciate it. I was just curious about a lot of the homeless that are coming out of Los Angeles are moving and migrating into Palmdale, Lancaster, and out into towards Rosemont, into the desert. I mean, is there anything that you and your department could do to other than just LA, like Venice and whatnot? I mean, is there anything else that you could do to help us out here too? I mean, everything you guys do are great, man. You guys are the best, and I love your department. Every sheriff's I've encounter out here have been nothing but pleasurable and wonderful people. Thank you for everything that you guys do. But that's my question for you.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you for your support. Our homeless outreach service team host, they're going to be out there in Palmdale, and they're the best in the business. They're the subject matter experts, and our plan for the entire county and for the sheriff's department jurisdiction of the county is we're identifying the shelter space, the safe campsites, safe RV parking for all of our homeless encampments. And we're going to be moving all of them slowly into these places, and we're going to follow the protocol, the 5-step protocol that our host team uses, which is very successful. It gives people the help they need, but it also has an important feature that the city does not have. It has finality. At the end of typically a 30-day period, at the last day is movement and cleanup day, and they're gone. They're relocated to where they can get the help they need, and that we return the location back to the community, and we regulate the public space in that manner, safely, compassionately, but certainly. And that is something that the city has never figured out, and so that's going to be a tall order for them. So with that, let's keep thinking that let's apply this formula. We are applying it throughout the county. Now I need the city of LA to get on board. The independent cities throughout the county, they're not LA, have figured this out. That's why you see it in a lot better shape than it is right now. So with that, okay, I'm Sheriff Alex Villanueva, and this is KFI AM 640. When we come back, I'm going to tell a little bit about transparency and accountability. But first, a news update from the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
KFI AM 640, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. You're listening to Live and Unscripted with LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We got some hot topics to hit to, but apparently the homeless thing is like, it just does not quit. There's so many ways it impacts everyone across the county, and our hearts go out to everyone, both the housed and the unhoused, because it is not working. So let's go to line 5 here. Andrew from Pico Rivera.
Hi, good evening, Sheriff. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Yourself?
I'm well. This is Councilmember Andrew Lara. I want to once again thank you for the Homebound program. You know, you and your team managed to vaccinate a number of our residents. Will you please come back and work with us so that we can administer booster shots? And then I have a question on mental health after that.
Oh, you will definitely be working on that. I'll be talking to Chief Jack Ewell to see how we can line up, get our supply, and we'll be out there following through on all the ones that we already did on the program. So, your thoughts on
Thank you.
On the mentally ill?
Yeah. So, at the beginning of this year, I managed to do a ride along. The first call with the officer was a mental health, a young man who was 19 and he stabbed himself. He had a well-known history of mental health issues. His family was trying to manage him at home. They turned their back and he stabbed himself. I'd like to work with you, Sheriff, and your department in developing a mental health crisis response team where you have a paramedic who's also a sheriff and a mental health specialist that responds to these calls at residences before they become a crisis point where either the individual harms someone or they harm themselves. There's been some pilot programs and some well-developed programs up in Oregon, the Cahoots program. And, you know, when you listen to the county and their plans and the state, that's just going to take a really long time rolling out. Would you be interested in trying to develop a mental health crisis team where we go to residences? These calls could be filtered through dispatch. What are your thoughts?
Well, we do have the mental evaluation teams right now, which is a co-responder model where we're pairing a deputy with a clinician. I think your program sounds like you want to take that one step further and to get that deputy to be a paramedic. And we do have licensed paramedics who are deputies. So I'd be willing to sit down with you if you have the time, and let's talk this thing through and see if we can come up with improve on our system. By all means, I'd be look forward to do that.
Thank you. I have a model that I think you'd appreciate. I will follow up with Captain Hutak out of the Pico Rivera Sheriff Station. God bless you, sir. Thank you for everything you do. Good night.
You got it. Stay safe. All right, let's go now to line 1 there. We got Luke.
Hi, Sheriff. It's good to have you tonight.
Thank you, Luke, for tuning in.
I just wanted to thank you for your service, sir. I just wanted to thank the Sheriff's Department in general for protecting our communities and just everything you guys have to go through.
Very kind of you.
And then thank you, sir. Then I do have a question. So we as voters and law-abiding citizens, how do we move forward, in 2021, 2022 in dealing with the opioid and the crystal meth epidemic that's in our county, especially when we have a district attorney who's not willing to prosecute?
Well, first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of the district attorney. I was the first one to sign that recall petition for Gascon. He is the author of Prop 47, which in of itself is problematic. But then on top of that, as DA, he's refusing to prosecute even the low-level misdemeanors from Prop 47. It's like, adding insult to injury. And that he's got to go because he is now a direct threat to public safety. His first 6 months in office, he rejected 5,932 cases from the Sheriff's Department alone. And these are cases where we did the investigation, made the arrest, presented the case, and only because of his special directives, they were rejected. Under normal circumstances, they would have been filed. So that is that much less safe, the county, because of his actions. And these are not reforms. He's actually trying to nullify the legislative intent in Sacramento by changing the law single-handedly. So I cannot support that. So That's the first thing we need to do is get rid of him and get somebody who wants to reform the right way, using all stakeholders, making a collaborative process, and not by the seat of your pants because I'm the guy. And when they got rid of with Prop 47, we no longer have diversion where addicts can get the help and treatment they need. We lost the carrot and stick method. They got people into the beds. Now they're running half empty because there is no consequence now to engage in smoking dope. So that's a big problem. And sometimes actually arresting some of these people saved their lives because they got the medical treatment, they got stabilized, got their weight back, and then we could transition them into a treatment facility. Now that entire system is broken down. That's why you see 5 people a day dying on the streets of preventable causes. With that, let me go real quick. If I can get over to Lucas here in West Covina.
In your leadership. Hello?
Okay, go ahead, Lucas.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. I wanted to also say I'm very confident in your leadership. I'm very happy in everything that's happened with Venice Beach. That was excellent work there, and hearing everything you've said. I took a little courage to come on here, but I wanted to say, yeah, I'm a student here in West Covina, and I mean, it's scary sometimes just to get to school. I mean, I have to walk past a whole row of tents just to get over to the area in the shopping center where my school is. I mean, I've had people with their shirts off trying to come and, I didn't give them money and then they try to come and hit me. Or there's been times when I'm afraid to even take my nephew over to buy an ice cream cone or something at the dairy because I know I'm going to have to hold his hand and walk past, you know what I mean, those tents and those people. And I don't know. He's asked me one time, hey, Uncle, what's that thing the guy's smoking out of, and then I have to explain to him what that is. I don't know if he's ever seen it before, but, it's kind of right here in front of us now. But
Wow.
I feel very happy to hear you speaking tonight because I am very confident in your leadership and the things you have had to say.
Well, Lucas, my heart breaks for you and your family because you're going through something you shouldn't have to go through, and too many people are in the exact same shoes you are. Do me a favor, stay on the line. I want to get your number, your address, and I want to send someone from our host team out there to check out the situation and see if we can get West Covina up and running and start working on their homeless situation so it's not impacting your livelihood. All right, so now real quick here, I'm Sheriff Alex Villanueva, and this is KFI AM 640. When we come back, I'll tell you a little bit about oversight and how it's impacting public safety. But first, a news update from the KFI 24-hour.
1-520-1534. That's 1-800-520-1KFI. Now, once again, LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva.
Welcome back, folks. And real quick, we're going to, on this last segment here, I want to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about oversight, transparency, and accountability. And here's something people may not be aware of, but obviously we run the largest sheriff's department in the nation, and we have 17,000 plus employees, and the department is a very complex department, does a lot of different functions, not just patrol, investigations. We run the jails, we man the courthouses, we're the bailiffs. We also provide security for the Metropolitan Transit Authority, for LA Community College District, in addition to all the specialized units that obviously economy of scale, Aero Bureau, SWAT team, crisis negotiators, our counterfeit and piracy enforcement team, our homeless outreach service team, all these different entities we do for the entire county. So with transparency, since I took office, one of my commitments, and I followed through on my campaign promise, we put everything the department does, we put it online on LASD.org. You can go to our transparency tab. You can go through to see all the information that you never, ever saw before from the Sheriff's Department. You can read all about our disciplinary process. You can read about deputy-involved shootings, our process we go through, how we hold people accountable. In fact, you might hear politicians, shameless politicians, I may add, insist again and again about, oversight, he's not transparent, or he resists. And actually, we hold people accountable. We do the right thing. We have to do it according to the law and based on evidence, not based on suspicions, not based on substantiated accusations, but based on facts that we can prove in a court of law, and that's how we hold people accountable. And with that, let's keep in mind here, I've terminated, unfortunately, 109 employees from my organization since I took office. I've disciplined over 700 of them in different ways, from a written reprimand to 30-day suspension without pay. And you can go to the website, to our transparency tab, and you can read all about the details, not the name because that's confidential, but you can read the story, what the person did, the misconduct, and what the discipline was. And that is holding people accountable. But my job is to both hold them accountable and also support them for all the overwhelming good work they do day in and day out through some very difficult circumstances, overcoming adversity all the time. We're the least manned or most undermanned law enforcement agency in the entire nation. I have 0.9 deputies per 1,000. You heard that right. 0.9 deputies per 1,000. LAPD has 2.2. NYPD has close to 4. The national average is 2.5. And I'm trying to get the job done with 0.9. And that's a testament to how tough the men and women are of the Sheriff's Department. They get the job done every single day. With that being said, there's a lot of political hanky-pank going on with the Board of Supervisors, the Oversight Commission, and the Inspector General, because apparently they're all the one and the same person. Keep that in mind, that the Board of Supervisors, the 5 members of the Board of Supervisors, they're both the legislative and the executive branch of county government. They have no oversight. They have absolute control over a $35 billion budget, actually $37 billion budget. They appoint the Inspector General. They appoint the Oversight Commission. And then they try to create this echo chamber between the 3 of them where, oh, my God, look at the sheriff did this. And then, oh, my God, the sheriff did that. And then all 3 of them follow through the same thing. And with that, let's go to David on line 8.
Oh, thank you, Sheriff, for taking my call. In my opinion, you're doing an excellent job. My question to you is, what are you going to do to prevent the Board of Supervisors in their attempt to take control over the Sheriff's Department?
That's a darn good question, David. I appreciate that. I'll tell you this. One thing we're going to do is we need a whole new Board of Supervisors. I need supervisors that are going to represent the interest of their constituents. They're going to represent good governance. And I need a Board of Supervisors that's transparent. Imagine that. I need supervisors that follow the rule of law, that don't have their hand in the pockets of developers and all the special interests and all the chummy relationships between the service providers and the campaign contributions that always seem to work their way back into the hands of the Board of Supervisors in their reelection campaigns. No, we need a Board of Supervisors that reflects the diversity of Los Angeles County. In fact, the lines are being redrawn for redistricting. And remember, the power of the sheriff comes from the state constitution. And the supervisors want to believe that they supervise the sheriff. Well, there is no supervisor-subordinate relationship between me and the Board of Supervisors. The Attorney General is actually the one that has functional supervision over all of the sheriffs in the state and all district attorneys. And that is something that the Board of Supervisors may be unfamiliar with, but they're wasting a lot of taxpayer money trying to take over the Sheriff's Department. They should actually spend more time trying to actually do their job for the departments they are responsible for. They are responsible for the homeless response to the homeless. They are responsible for the pandemic response. And you know how that worked out. They are responsible for Department of Children and Family Services, where so many kids die needlessly for lack of proper oversight and accountability there. There's so many things going wrong with county government that they should spend their time on. And the sheriff and the DA, when we have a real DA, are actually the only check and balance left between the complete and absolute power and control of the Board of Supervisors. So when you go to vote on that come the next elections, look up who's for re-election, look who wants to fill Sheila Kuehl's vacant seat, and make sure the people that are going to take those seats are doing a right job, are going to be ethical, are going to regulate public space, are going to handle the homeless problem in the right way. And Hilda Solis, her Care First Village that has her name plastered all over it, that's a prime example of someone who's working for their own benefit and not for the community. Because why does that thing sit empty and I have homeless tents parked right outside of it? And that's embarrassing. In fact, Supervisor Solis, you may want to really think long and hard about what you're doing in public office, because to date, I don't see the point of you being there, really. So now, with that, let's go to Robert on line 7.
Hey there, Sheriff. I have tremendous respect for law enforcement and tremendous respect for what you do.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And thank you so much. I've got 2 sons that are becoming law enforcement officers, so my 100% backing goes to you. And when I think of guys like Gascon, I wonder how you navigate your daily job with someone in a prominent position like that, who is opening the back door every time you put a criminal in the front door, and how you navigate through that process. That's question number 1. Number 2 is, with that guy closing jails and letting people go and all the woke people and all the homeless problems and drugs and everything else, would you feel comfortable taking your family out to dinner anywhere in L.A. County without being armed? And if not, then isn't that good cause for having law-abiding citizens to be able to protect themselves? And why only 2 out of 10 people are being approved for CCWs? That's my entire giant convoluted question for you there.
All right, let's make it kind of simple for you. We're going to continue with the good cause standard for CCWs, and I can tell you this, and I hear you, Robert, and I hear your concerns regarding Gascon. The man needs to go like yesterday. So if you're there, you're listening, you have a recall petition, you can download it at recallgeorgegascon.com and get that in as quickly as possible. And there's a lot we can do in that regard. It's time to hold all elected officials accountable. That includes myself as well. If I don't get the job done right, well, I have no business being in this office. And that goes for every single elected position, from the governor all the way down to the mayor, the city council, the board of supervisors, the sheriff, and the DA. And we're going to keep pushing that issue. And this is very, very important. Every single person who is a voter, make sure you hold your elected officials accountable when it comes time for election in the primaries next year, June of 2022. So now, with that, real quick, I'm Sheriff Alex Villanueva, and this is KFI AM 640. When we come back, I'm going to tell you a little bit about COVID-19 and our approach to that. But first, a news update from the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
KFI AM 640, heard everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. You're listening to Live and Unscripted with LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva.
Welcome back, everyone. And real quick, I want to talk about COVID-19. It's hit our department very hard. We've lost quite a few people along the way. We've also lost, in fact, to date, we've lost a total of 13 people. Yes, 6 sworn, 7 professional staff. We currently have 11 that are hospitalized, 10 sworn, and 1 professional staff. We have in quarantine 467. During the peak of the pandemic, we had over 2,100 quarantine at the very same time, which made it very difficult to manage, keep us a 24/7 operation afloat. But we're able to survive. But something that we're asking everyone, and I've been vaccinated myself since January, and folks, if you haven't got vaccinated, get the vaccination. Trust me. People who are dying now, the overwhelming majority dying, they're unvaccinated, particularly those that have comorbidity issues, be it overweight, diabetes, immunosuppression, some type of condition, whatever the case may be. If you are one of those that have a compromised immune system in your age or diabetes, things like that, get the vaccination. It will literally save your life. You want to roll the dice between being unvaccinated and COVID, I'd put my money on the vaccination. Those are odds that Vegas will take any time. Now, people are asking, will I mandate it for everyone on the department? Well, that's going to be a meet and confer issue between the Board of Supervisors and the unions to approve. But the way this whole vaccination thing has become politicized, I'm not in a position to force any kind of medical treatment on anyone. I think it's going to be up to every individual to make that opinion and what they're going to be comfortable doing. However, if you wind up in a hospital in the ICU for COVID and you're not vaccinated, the public opinion is starting to get less and less sympathetic to your cause because you did not take a preventable step that you could have taken to limit the impact on yourself, your loved ones, your coworkers. So think about it long and hard. Get the vaccination, does work. Wear a mask indoors, that works as well. All right. So let's stay informed on this. This is very important. But as we wrap this thing up, I just want to I'm going to read a question here I got, and this is kind of important. Someone is asking, Renee, he's asking, why is LA School Police Department being defunded? Is there any chance of these police agencies coming together and getting refunded again? Well, they're being defunded because the LAUSD school board has decided to be very woke, and they want to somehow do virtue signaling and decide that the campuses are more safe with less cops. Well, having been to an active shooter involving one of our schools, Saugus High School, in my tenure as sheriff, and that tragedy, the parents that have their kids in that school have a very, very different opinion about school defunding. So the people that somehow think that they're going to be more safe with less cops, they're only kidding themselves. All right, we need to focus long and hard on what we're doing in public safety. Can law enforcement as a whole be reformed? Of course, every single government agency can stand to be reformed. And we have to keep aware of the fact that we live in dynamic times. Things are changing constantly. The impact of the pandemic, the impact of social media on our lives, the impact of just the IT developments. All these things keep presenting new challenges and new opportunities to reimagine ourselves in a way that we can better serve the community. But that does not mean that less law enforcement. So that is very, very important. I think the laws that we have on the books can be enforced. We can enforce them in a way that's constitutionally sound, and at the same time minimizing the impact on those who we can definitely convince to adopt a more, how could we say this, a more honest way of life. Get kids who are on the bubble of being in trouble or not, keeping them out of trouble, keeping them in school. Yeah, we want to do that. But for the career criminals out there, the bad guys that are thinking of, hey, I got an opportunity here because there's no consequences. Well, I'm sorry. That's not someone who's is going to benefit for any type of reform. So let's keep this. Let's keep our eye on the ball. Let's make sure we hold everyone accountable. Let's use some common sense in what we do. Very important because it doesn't seem to be so common these days. And let's find a way where, and this is something every parent can tell every kid. 1, respect authority. Number 2, very important, do not resolve conflict with violence. Number 3, leave your guns at home. You practice those 3, you will never come across a cop in your life. And you will never be faced with any issue involving a deputy-involved shooting, officer-involved shooting, use of force, or anything like that. If you have a conflict with law enforcement about how they did their job, do so safely when the incident is over. Follow their orders, and then you can sue them. You can go to court, fight your case. By all means, use everything at your disposal that's legal to make your case, and that's how you resolve conflicts. If you don't like the way you're treated, make sure you call the watch commander. Let them know how you were treated, because that's how we hold our employees accountable as well. We need that feedback, both good and bad. It's been an honor to be with you tonight. Everyone, really enjoy this. I loved all the questions that were coming in. And I want to do a quick thanks to Robin Bertolocci, Jacob Gonzalez, Misty Salbert, and David Calloway for all your work and helping me get this show on the air. You guys are awesome. So I'll send off with that. This is Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Thank you all and have a good night. Thank you all and have a good night. Thank you all and have a good night. Thank you all and have a good night.